What's up, boxing fans? This is TBE Boxing, back at you again. Today's topic: bloodshed in Vegas. Ldbc King Deontay Wilder stopped in brutal fashion by the Gypsy King Tyson Fury. Let's chop it up and see what it's all about.
Got the money for minutes, pretty bitch, gotta show me titties. This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? That life for riches, huh? That life for riches, huh? Pretty bitch, show me titties, huh? And I got the glizzy, run up on me, I'ma make you get it. I'ma make you get it.
Okay, boxing fans, let's talk some boxing today. We're gonna chop it up. We had the trilogy fight: Deontay Wilder, the Bronze Bomber versus Tyson, the Gypsy King Fury, this weekend, and it was the last fight in the series of fight, the trilogy, and it was a pretty good fight actually, and as expected, the odds makers had Tyson Fury winning the fight, and he did win the fight. So he stopped Deontay Wilder in a brutal display of punching power and perseverance, because it wasn't the easiest fight for Tyson Fury. So Deontay Wilder put up a better performance than he did in the second fight, but still wasn't enough to overcome the lack of technical abilities that Deontay Wilder went to the fight with. Okay, he did show some improvement in some areas, but as what usually happens in a fight, of this of this nature, where you have a fighter trying to reinvent himself, try to apply a different style, different techniques. Deontay Wilder came out there and tried that and did pretty good in the first round or two, but once he got touched by Tyson Fury, once the first punch landed by Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder basically went back to his old self, swinging wild, head hunting, and not putting his punches together. And even though he had Fury down twice, due to the fact that he was so overeager and lack of discipline in terms of putting punches together, he wasn't able to keep Fury down, and Fury got up and then ended up knocking him out. So that's basically a quick synopsis of what happened in the fight. But there's a lot more involved in what happened, and so we're gonna go over as much as we can. And I try to put everything together that I can remember about what happened in the fight. So as far as I can see, like I said, Deontay Wilder came in there, and thought that he was prepared. I would think, but he really wasn't prepared for Tyson Fury. Okay, and we saw that once, like I said, once Deontay Wilder got touched for the first time, he kind of reverted back to his old self and started swinging wild and going, head hunting instead of working the body like he started to do in the first round. Okay, he abandoned that his whole. I guess he abandoned the whole plan that Malik Scott laid out for him in that fight, because what we saw was the old Deontay Wilder. The only difference is that he took more punishment in this fight than he did in the second fight. Because he stayed in there longer and got Tyson Fury put some punches on him, and he ended up getting knocked out in the end. Okay, there was nobody throwing in the towel. It wasn't saved by the referee. He was knocked out cold by Tyson Fury on his shield, like he claimed that he wanted to go out on his shield. He went out on his shield. Okay, now I really believe that there's really no cowards in boxing, because a coward don't get in the boxing ring. Okay, that's one thing. Okay, But I do believe that people, you know, to say just because you say that somebody is not a coward, okay, it doesn't mean that they're not afraid. Okay. When you're afraid, that doesn't make you a coward. Okay. You could be afraid and still do what you need to do. And people have done that, and they call that courage. Because you're afraid and you continue to do what needs to be done. You know, you ignore your fear basically and continue to perform. And people call that courage. Okay. So when people tell me that, you know, this boxer, he's not afraid of this or he's not afraid of that, I don't really buy none of that. I know boxers are human beings and they have emotions and feelings just like anybody else. You don't lose your feelings when you become a boxer. Okay, so you know, boxers do have fear. They are afraid of certain fighters, are afraid of fighting certain fighters because they feel it, they might not be able to beat that fighter or that fighter or whatever. But boxers have feelings, and you know, again, I'm not one of those who think that, oh, because you're a boxer, you don't have you're fearless. There's no such thing as a fearless, you know, person. You know, people have fears and they handle their fears. As simple as that. Okay. So Tyson, you know, so Deontay Wilder went into this fight, you know, with the intention, according to him and his camp, of, you know, they wanted to get revenge. Okay. Well, that's what Deontay Wilder said he wanted. He wanted it back in blood. Okay. Decapitation, bloodshed. But you know, the opposite happened. It was bloodshed, all right, but it was Deontay Wilder's blood that was being shed in Vegas. Okay. And so I mean I have to give it to Deontay Wilder in this fight. He did put up a, you know, a pretty good fight, but it was just that he was ill-equipped to win the fight. He just didn't have the tools. Okay. First and foremost, his conditioning was nowhere in sight to be seen. Deontay Wilder was tired from the very. I would even go so. I was going to say the second round, but I would even go so far as to say from the very first round. After the end of the first round, you know, in the second round, he looked like he was, you know, he looked like he was tired in the second round, and he only got worse from there. Okay, so basically, you know, Deontay Wilder fought that fight on pure heart. Okay, he didn't have the physical attributes. I mean, well, in terms of his conditioning, to be able to go the full distance in that fight, and it showed in the fight. Okay, but even though he kept going, okay, he didn't give up. He kept going, but he was like I said, ill-equipped to win this fight in a lot of different areas, in the skill area, conditioning area, and in the area of mental toughness. Okay. From the first round, he got into the ring with Deontay Wilder. He started overreacting in the sense that he was throwing punches, you know, way too hard in the first round. There was no feeling out process, and it wasn't just like he was. It wasn't like he was throwing punches, you know, that he was gonna go and try to knock out the Tyson Fury. He threw punches, but he was keeping his distance. In other words, he didn't, you know, like walk Tyson Fury down and throw. He was throwing long jabs to the body from the distance, and he was working the body from the distance, which is, you know, that's nothing wrong with that. But to me, it just seems to me that, you know, once Deontay Wilder got into the ring with Tyson Fury, you know, you can see that there was some dynamic going on in the sense that he didn't look as confident as when he was out of the ring and talking about getting into the ring with Tyson Fury. Okay, that's the way I look at that. So he looked like he was in that ring with Tyson Fury, but he, you know, regardless of what we hear him saying about wanting this back in blood and he wanted revenge, he had a healthy respect for Tyson Fury in that ring, and it showed. Okay. Now, in terms of what Malik Scott was trying to work on with Tyson Fury, I saw flashes of it in that ring. Okay, I saw little flashes of what Malik Scott was working on Deontay Wilder with. Okay, some of the things that he worked on with Deontay Wilder, you saw bits and pieces of it, but only in flashes when Deontay Wilder wasn't really consciously thinking about doing those things, but they came out anyway, which is a good sign, you know, because it just shows that Deontay Wilder probably just needs more time to perfect his craft under Malik Scott, and if they could continue what they're working on, and had some more time, they probably could have been a different result in the fight. But at the end of the day, Deontay Wilder just doesn't have the, like I said, when he got hit the first time, the first good shot from Tyson Fury, he went back to his old self, swinging wild, throwing haymakers, just totally, way off, and some of the wild punches that he was throwing. He had Tyson Fury hurt and couldn't put him away because he didn't know how to put his punches together. He just forgot, I guess. I don't know. He just lost it, okay, and started stringing crazy, and he let Tyson Fury off the hook, okay. That was his chance to win the fight in the fourth round when he knocked Tyson Fury down. And the way the knockdown came was pretty interesting because they were clinched at first, and he moved away from he pushed off away from Tyson Fury and threw a left hook that missed. Tyson Fury slipped that hook. Then he threw a jab to the body that connected. Okay, that's Deontay. Then he started. Then he moved, and he's doing this while he's moving backwards. And as he's moving backwards, he threw the jab to the body, and and then he threw another jab up top, and Tyson Fury blocked it. Partially blocked it. And when Tyson Fury, he had his hands up high, so when he blocked it, I guess Tyson Fury couldn't really see. So when he opened his hands again to look, after he had partially blocked the shot, the right hand came right behind and caught him flush in the forehead. Okay, shook him. His legs wobbled, and he almost went down right there. And then Deontay hit him with Deontay Wilder went wild after that, and he kind of hit him with another punch, but he only clipped him. He didn't hit him full force, and Tyson Fury went down, and he was able to get up after that, knockdown. But he looked very hurt, and then after he got up, Deontay Wilder, started doing his same old thing and couldn't put him away. Went swinging wild, going after head hunting, not going to the body. He should have went to the body. Once he had Tyson Fury hurt like that, he should have went all the shots that he was throwing on the inside when he was in close to Tyson Fury should have been body shots. But he didn't throw one body shot. Okay. So again, whatever Malik Scott was, showing Deontay Wilder, he didn't have enough time to teach him, and Deontay Wilder just haven't been able to absorb all of those things, all of those teachings and techniques that Malik Scott's been, trying to teach him. But like I said, we did see a little bit of it, some little flashes of it, because the way he knocked Tyson Fury down, he walked Tyson Fury into the punch. That was a trap. I don't know if he did it, consciously or unconsciously, but he did it. Okay, so that's a a good sign that there's something there that can be worked on. But again, in terms of conditioning and in terms of just skills, it was a mismatch really. Tyson Fury was doing everything in there that you would the veteran boxer would do against a guy, especially if the guy is smarter than him. He kept leaning on Deontay Wilder, his whole weight, his body was weight on Deontay. He put Deontay Wilder in headlocks. The referee had to stop him from doing that. Warned him about doing that. He kept hitting Deontay. He uses his forearm. He'd throw short uppercuts on the inside with Deontay Wilder, catching Deontay Wilder on the inside. I mean, every trick in the book, Tyson Fury was using it. Deontay Wilder didn't do anything of the sort. He was just trying to hold on. It looked. I mean, Tyson Fury fought like the big guy. Tyson Fury fought like the big guy, and he like I said, he did every little trick in the book. He weighed down on Deontay Wilder. He did everything, all the little tricks that you're supposed to do when you're the bigger guy in there against a smaller guy. He did all of that. Okay, and Deontay Wilder had no, seemed like he didn't really know how to deal with any of that. Okay, none of the the leaning on him. He didn't. He had no answer for it. He couldn't. He didn't make any adjustments to that. Okay. So at the end of the day, inexperience, lack of basic fundamentals. At the end of the day, that's what lost Deontay Wilder this fight. The same thing I lost in the fight the second time. All this talk about glove gate, dent in the head, water, poison water, all of that, it was just nonsense at the end of the day. And this fight just showed, exactly what's going on. It's just Deontay Wilder is just ill-equipped to defeat a guy, a boxer of the caliber of Tyson Fury. And even though he made a valiant effort in the trilogy, like he himself said, okay, Tyson Fury came in there to beat him up and lean on him, and he was successful. Okay, this is what Deontay Wilder said after the fight. Okay, so it is what it is. So at the end of the day, it was a great fight. Like I said, Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder put up a great struggle, but he just came up short. And unfortunately for him, in boxing, there's no consolation prizes. Okay? There's no consolation prize in boxing. You either win, lose, or draw. Okay? So, you don't get, you might get a few points for doing a good job, but, winning is what it's all about. And Deontay Wilder lost. Okay? And, a lot of his fans out there are basically, they don't know what to do now, especially, it's, all right, let me put you like this. You see, you have the fans out there, a lot of them don't really know that much about boxing, okay? And I'm not talking about just Deontay Wilder's fans, I'm talking about just fans in general, the casual fans, okay? And some of the not so casual fans. They don't really know a lot about boxing. So a lot of these people depend on some of these YouTubers to inform them about what's going on in the boxing world and boxing community and all of that. And as you all know, a lot of these YouTubers, the Blue Blood Sports, the Boxing Eagles, the 78 Sports, the June Titans, the Champ Sides, the Aki TV, the BFTB, all of these guys have been, pushing that whole glove gate nonsense and saying that Tyson Fury cheated in his first and second fight, this, that, the other, and that's why Deontay Wilder lost. Not because Tyson Fury was better boxer, not because Tyson Fury was more skilled. No, it was because Tyson Fury cheated. That's why he won. Okay, that's according to them. That's what they kept saying. And they kept pushing this narrative to the point where Deontay Wilder bought into it and started talking that same nonsense. At the end of the day, they basically misinformed the fans, gave the fans out there misinformation about what was going on, okay? And, for this trilogy fight, they all was out there talking about how Tyson Fury is scared, he's going to get knocked out, he's trying to avoid the fight because he knows he's going to get knocked out, this, that, and the other. He don't want no part of Deontay Wilder. Wilder's going to knock him out. Back in blood, it's going to be decapitation, all of this hyperbole, a lot of big talk. Deontay Wilder was doing the same big talking, as these YouTubers was out there doing. And so they build up the expectations of the fans, okay, to the point where the fans are thinking that Deontay Wilder is a shoo-in to win this fight. He's going to knock Tyson Fury out. Okay. Now, I gave Deontay Wilder, after I saw that his preparation that he was trying to do, what Malik Scott was working, I said to myself, well, it looks like Deontay Wilder might have a chance in this third fight, even though I've consistently made comments about his boxing, his skills and his punch selection and all that. Me feeling that all of that was inadequate. He was really depending on the right hand and all of that. So, but based on what I saw him doing with Malik Scott, I thought to myself, well, hey, maybe He's actually out there, learning something new. Like I said, he should be doing. Like and our people said he should be doing, and he's probably gonna come in there and do something different in this fight. So even though I still gave Fury the edge to win the fight, but I gave Deontay Wilder the benefit of the doubt based on his training, and I said that if he goes out there and executes like and like I see him doing in practice, if he could do that in the actual ring, then I think that he had a chance. Well, unfortunately, that wasn't the case. He wasn't able to execute, and he went back, like I said, he reverted to, his old self when he got hit the first time. And from that point on, it was downhill from there. Even though he put up a valiant struggle, he just wasn't equipped to win that fight because if he had the tools, he didn't use them. Okay, they stayed in the toolbox. Okay, and he just kept swinging wild and, telegraphing his punch. And, Tyson Fury just picked him off, and then knocked him out. Eventually, it was bound to happen. So this is, so now all these fans that, these YouTubers like, Blue Blood Sports and Phantom Boxing and all these guys were hyping up and telling them that, this is it's the end of the game, end of the road for Fury. Fury's scared, this, that, the other. BFTB out there talking about Tyson Fury scared, and I mean, there's a whole bunch of nonsense. These guys out there spewing all this nonsense. Now, all of that talk that they were talking, all these guys, Champ Side, Aki TV, Drew Titan, 78 Sports TV, Boxing Ego, Phantom Boxing, all of these guys are now sitting there with eggs on their faces looking silly. Okay, and the fans out there wondering what happened. I thought you guys said you was gonna win, and so the fans are in shock. These guys out here, they're in shock themselves. These YouTubers, all of them, they don't know what to say now, and so only thing they can say is that Deontay Wilder put up a great fight. He tried his best. He went out like a champion. But again, that's all good. But there's no consolation prizes in boxing. Okay? You got to win, lose, or draw. And, Deontay Wilder lost, and he lost in spectacular fashion. In a brutal knockout. Even though he put up a good fight, he still got knocked out, in a brutal fashion in this fight. And he lost. And so all these people thinking that, he was a shoo-in to win the fight, they don't know what to think now. They're in total shock right now. And, but that's what happened when you misinform the fans out there about what's really going on. And, that's mostly what these guys were doing, misinforming the fans and, to make super chat money or whatever. They hyped up Wilder, gassed him up, okay, sent him in there against Fury, and we all saw what happened. It could be the end of Deontay Wilder's career as we know it as a boxer, because that was a brutal knockout. He took a lot of beating in there for the whole 11 rounds, not just in the the 11th round when he got knocked out. He took some, Tyson Fury took some beating in there as well because Deontay Wilder landed some good shots. But at the end of the day, Tyson landed the better shots, the stronger shots, and he was able to knock Deontay Wilder out, to the shock and chagrin of a lot of fight fans out there who would listen to all these Glovegate fool's gallery of conspiracy theories about, Deontay, about Tyson Fury cheating, about water and, poison water, Mark Breland poisoning in Deontay Wilder's water, all this nonsense. Okay, you got people out there still believing that stuff. Okay, and what happens usually, when you believe in fantasy, like a lot of these fans, a lot of these YouTubers, Blue Blood Sports, and all these guys believed in, then you gotta face reality, and reality is a bitch. Okay, because it's facts over feelings all the time. Okay, that's reality, facts over feelings. So a lot of these guys are now, on their channels. A lot of them, when they finally decide to actually cover what happened, they're it's very humble today. Okay, all of them have been humbled. Okay, by Tyson Fury. They've all been humbled and disappointed by Deontay Wilder. Okay, so all of this talk, all of that hyperbole, all came to this, to Tyson Fury knocking out Deontay Wilder in the 11th round in spectacular fashion. And like I said, to the chagrin of all of these Glovegate conspiracy theorists, and now they all have to deal with a reality check. They all have been checked by reality, okay, and now they gotta deal with that, okay. And you can go to their channels and you listen to them talking all kind of foolishness still. Some of them still talking about Glovegate. There's something with the glove. Or I mean, they're still talking about that. You have people still out there talking about, long count, Glovegate. And now, when they asked Deontay Wilder about, the referee, changes in the last minute, the referee changes in this fight, what did he say? He said, we ain't gonna need no referee. Okay, and well, they didn't need any referee in the end, but that's what he said. We're not gonna need a referee. I'm not worried about that. We're not gonna need a referee. Okay, so I guess he was saying he was gonna go ahead and knock Tyson Fury up, but it worked out the other way. Okay, so but you still have people out there, talking about Tyson Fury is still a cheater. He's still a cheater. He had to have cheated some kind of way. So a lot of people still don't want to accept the fact. A lot of these YouTubers, are forced to accept the fact. They don't put out video after video after video after video about how Tyson Fury was running and hiding from Deontay Wilder, and how Deontay Wilder was going to knock him out. And so now they can't back off of what they done, they done reported, and now, but again, reality is a bitch. So now they got to face reality. So it is what it is. It is. Deontay Wilder put up a great fight, struggle. Okay, I thought that he would have done a lot better than he did. In my, based on what I thought that he was actually training, but it looked like he didn't really absorb all of that training. I'm pretty sure Malik Scott did his best, but Deontay Wilder, like I said, when I said my previous video, I talked about how where the rubber is going to meet the road is in execution. And Deontay Wilder will have to execute that, whatever plan they have in the ring. And unfortunately for Malik Scott and for the Deontay Wilder team, they couldn't, he was unable to execute in the ring. And, he did his best. I'm not going to say, it was a total wash. He did do his best. You can say that. He did his best. But like he said himself, his best was not good enough. And, he got brutally knocked out by Tyson Fury. As in other words, he went out on his shield like he wanted to, and to me, that's all good, but I don't see the point in that. Okay, you lose. A loss is a loss, whether you lost on your stool or you lose on face down in the ring. And who wants to lose face down in the ring? I mean, I don't get that. But anyway. The question now is, what is Deontay Wilder going to do next? What's next for Deontay Wilder? Is he finished? Was that beating too brutal? Will he be able to come back? I mean, we don't know yet. We'll have to see, because we don't know if he is sustaining the physical damage that might be permanent, because we did see that his ear was bleeding again in this fight. And maybe he got his eardrum busted again. I'm not sure. But if that happened again, it's a serious issue. Your eardrum, if you get your eardrum hurt, that's dealing with your balance. And, Deontay Wilder did look a little off balance during the whole fight. Don't know if it was that or if he was just, fatigued, because he was fatigued almost from the very first round. So, if there's no physical damage, then we have to worry about mental damage. What is the mental damage to Deontay Wilder, who thought that, and who said, and who was invested in the idea that the reason why he lost is that Tyson Fury cheated, and that he was going to go back there and get it back in blood, and he was going to do this and he was going to do that, and it was going to be decapitation and the whole 9 yards. And now to have to face the fact that none of that was going to happen, and you got knocked out again in brutal fashion again. What is that? What does that do to somebody's mentality or his psyche? How do you recover from that? Having to face the fact that you just wasn't good enough to beat the guy, It didn't seem that Deontay Wilder took it very well. I mean, how can you take that well? I don't know. I mean, you know, but the bottom line, he didn't congratulate Fury after the win, which I can't blame him too much for that. I mean, you know, how a guy is going to feel after such a fight, you know, and having to face the fact that this is, you know, there's no more excuses. Okay? No more excuses. There's nothing to fall back on. The man was just a better fighter, and now you have to face that reality head on. Can he do that and then come back from that? You have to do that to be able to come back, okay? Because once you realize that your skills and your abilities wasn't up to par in a fight, then you have to, you know, improve them, okay? Work on it. But if you don't come to that realization that they weren't good enough, if you're gonna hold on to some kind of excuse in your mind about what happened, then how can you improve? You will never improve. But I thought that Deontay Wilder, you know, finally accepted his loss to Tyson Fury by the fact that he was out there doing all these different things and training. But I wasn't behind the scenes, so I don't know what was really going on. But it looked to me like he had accepted it, but maybe he didn't fully accept it, and now he's going to have to fully accept it and, you know, and move on from there. Whether or not he can come back, it might not be a physical reason why he can't come back. It might be a mental reason, or it might not be a mental reason. It might be a physical reason. It might be both. We don't know. And we don't know if he can actually come back or not. We're going to have to see and let it play out and see what happens. But from my personal view, I don't think, you know, I mean, he got knocked out, but, I mean, people have got knocked out before. More than Deontay Wilder got knocked out and still come back and fight. Look at Manny Pacquiao and still came back and won. So I don't see necessarily that it's the end of Deontay Wilder unless he wants it to end. I mean, there's still good fights out there for Deontay Wilder, okay? You know, maybe not Tyson Fury, but not right now. Maybe he could improve and probably visit that sometime in the future. But we don't know because, you know, Deontay Wilder is not a spring chicken anymore. He's getting up there in age. And it looks to me like for him to really get the necessary training and skills that you need to be able to even beat a guy like Tyson Fury, which he wasn't that far away from winning in this fight, but, you know, it was far enough. So, you know, in order for him to do that, I think he would need to have at least a good 2 years of training and some fights in between to be able to get to that level where Tyson Fury is. If he could ever get to that level, we don't know. But I think he's gonna need more time. So it's gonna be interesting to see if Deontay Wilder is gonna continue boxing. He's gonna retire now. What he's gonna do. I mean, you know, personally, I think he should continue. You know, I think he's still got something left. And plus, from what I saw in this fight and the fact that some of the stuff that Malik Scott was working on actually manifested itself in the ring and actually was working, I'm thinking that he should probably just give it, you know, some more time before he retires. There's still some big money to be made in boxing for Deontay Wilder if he sticks around. So I don't see any reason for him to quit now. But he should stay away from Tyson Fury. That's his kryptonite right there. But, you know, all in all, it was a pretty exciting fight. You know, Deontay Wilder did his best, like I said, but it just wasn't good enough. Now we're going to see what all these Glovegate Fools Gallery, you know, are going to do now that they don't have Deontay Wilder to feed off anymore. You know, what are they going to do now? Who they going to latch on to next? Okay, you know, so we'll see how it works out, how it all plays out, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, congratulations to Tyson Fury. You know, great win. Congratulations to Deontay Wilder. Put up a magnificent struggle, excuse me. Okay, great, you know, he put up a great fight. He did his best, like you said. But his best just wasn't good enough. And, you know, I mean, you gotta, you know, I respect that. I mean, he did his best. You got to respect that. Okay? And so it is what it is. But you're going to have to go back to the drawing board if you want to, you know, step in the ring with a guy like Tyson Fury, you know, or even a guy like Usyk. I mean, you know, so let's see what, you know, Deontay Wilder do in the near future. But I think this chapter is, you know, it's finally over with this trilogy fight. And I think all of this, talk about cheating and this and that, all that I think should be put to rest by now, put to bed, I would think. And, all of these hustlers out there talking about, Glovegate, Watergate, Mark Breland poisoning Deontay. I mean, you have people, some of these guys out there still not wanting to deal with Mark Breland because they think that, he did something to Deontay Wilder. When, it was just all excuses by Deontay Wilder. You know what I mean? So, it's really bad, what Deontay Wilder did with Mark Breland. It's a real shame to see that, and still don't want to accept the fact that, Mark Breland didn't do anything to his water. He just lost the fight because he just wasn't ready for Tyson Fury, just like he wasn't ready this time either. So who's he going to blame now? Did Malik Scott put something in his water this time? So you see how that works? So, people need to abandon that, man, and forget about all that and just go with the, facts over feelings, okay? Deontay Wilder is did his thing in his time, but he just met a guy that he couldn't beat. And that happens to almost any fighter, okay? That one-punch knockout was great for the guys that he fought, but when he came up against an elite-level opponent, okay, that could, stand up to it, I wasn't afraid of him. And then we saw what happened. And that was bound to happen. It had to happen. It was going to happen. It was just a matter of time. And it finally has happened. And so we witnessed it in real time. But it is what it is. Okay? So let's see what Deontay Wilder is going to do. We got some good fights coming up. Sean Porter coming up. The rematch with Usyk and Joshua coming up. So let's see what Joshua's going to do. If it's going to be Usyk versus Usyk versus Fury or Fury versus Joshua. Whether Joshua's going to beat Usyk in the second fight. Okay, we'll have to wait and see. So there's a lot of interesting thing going on now in heavyweight boxing. Not just boxing in general, but heavyweight boxing. I mean, not just heavyweight boxing, but boxing in general. So there's a lot of exciting fights coming up next. Caleb Plant, Terrence Crawford, okay, Jamel Herring, Shakur Stevenson. I mean, a lot of good fights coming up. Boxing is looking good for the immediate, for the near future. So I'm just looking forward to all of that. Deontay Wilder, if he's going to continue boxing, he needs to get back to the drawing board, go back out there and learn the fundamentals of boxing, and then come back and give it another shot if he's up to it. If not, then he can retire. He did his thing. There's no need for him to continue if he doesn't want to. Okay, you don't owe anybody anything. Okay, he has done what he has done, and it is what it is. So with that being said, looking forward for the next fight, which is, the fight I'm really looking forward to is going to be Terrence Crawford versus Sean Porter. That's going to should be a barn burner. So I'm looking forward to that. But make sure, with that said, I'm going to leave it there. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Go to tbeboxing.com. Check out my, the website. Check out the latest, headlines and latest news in boxing. Make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, okay? That's what you need to be doing. Like and subscribe to the channel. That's all I have for right now. This is TBE Boxing. I'm out, baby.
Got the money for minutes, pretty bitch, gotta show me titties. This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? That life before riches, huh? That life before riches, huh? Pretty bitch, show me titties, huh? And I got the glazzy run up on me, I'ma make you get it. I'ma make you get it.